What's up, guys? It's Luis from Media here, and today we're going to be talking about starting your very own print shop. Now, don't get this confused with starting your own clothing brand, because this is a little bit different. And while you can start a clothing line with having all the items I'm about to list, this is more for the people that want to help other people with their clothing line or other print services, such as mugs, tumblers, shirts, business cards, invitations, all kinds of other things. We're going to keep it super simple, guys. I'm going to go straight into what you guys need to be able to start something of this caliber from home at the lowest cost possible. Let's get to it. You're going to need printers, right? To start off with a sublimation printer, 100% you need one. You know, sublimation is such a cool process, and it's such a versatile way of printing. It allows you to be able to print on so many different things like, you know, cups, mugs, tumblers, t-shirts, mouse pads, signs. There's so much. You know, for quick reference, I know a lot of you guys have seen some of those full color printed tumblers. That's done with sublimation. Some of these really big metallic images or signs, that's done with sublimation. The printer that I suggest for sublimation for a beginner person will be linked below. Always check the links, guys. I try to put the most affordable version of whatever it is that I'm talking about, but I also put whatever my favorite is. So always look at the different links. And those links do give me a little bit of a kickback. Some of them are affiliated, not every single one, but some are. So it does help me keep bringing you guys content like this. But yeah, so sublimation, it has, I believe, one of the lowest learning curves from printing than something like DTF or DTG that some of these bigger print shops have, and even screen printing. I don't talk a lot about screen printing because I never came from that world. I jumped in straight on from, you know, vinyl, HTV, and sublimation. So sublimation, a lot of people stay away from it because they're a little bit afraid of what type of printer to get, or they're pretty expensive, like the Sawgrass and stuff like that. And while I like the Sawgrass system, a lot of people don't. They think it's too expensive. So if that's the case, you can easily convert any Epson Eco tank. They have like the little ink tanks, you can see the windows. You can convert almost every single one of those into a sublimation printer. The only caveat or downfall is on the smaller ones you can only print 8.5 by 11 versus some of the more expensive ones you could go up in page sizes. But to get started, that 8.5 by 11 will put in work. I haven't upgraded yet to a bigger printer, and for most print jobs, that 8.5 by 11 has seemed to be enough. And I've had it for, man, I would say like 4 years now, and it's been more than enough. If I do need bigger sheets, I have a person that I order from, and it just kind of worked out that way fairly well. Pretty much just take any of those Eco Tank guys, or you can even take an older Epson WF Workforce and buy what's called a continuous ink system, and literally all you guys do is pour ink into the carts. If you buy a brand new Eco Tank, do not use the stock ink. Purchase your sublimation ink, which I've linked below, and put it in the tanks. Don't make that mistake. So the next type of printer that you're gonna need, in my opinion, is a pigment printer. And pigment ink is just a little bit more permanent. It attaches better to print medias, and it just overall a better type of ink system, in my opinion. Same thing with a pigment printer like a sublimation printer. All I've done was take an Eco Tank and pour pigment ink into it. Nothing to it. There's nothing difficult about it. The only thing I do suggest is when you're buying your ink, and again, I'll link some below, is make sure to use the color profiles that they give you so that the colors will pop and come out really nice. I feel like those two type of printers will give you so much versatility and allow you to print so much different stuff that I don't think it'll, you know, hold you back. The next thing is kind of like a printer, but it's not. It's a vinyl cutter. With vinyl, you're able to do so much as well. You're able to make signs, obviously shirts with heat transfer vinyl. You can also do car decals and graphics, which is huge for a print shop. That's honestly almost most of my work that I got initially was car decals. And don't forget, you can also do window decals, which is like for business hours. You know, that's also a really good little side gig that made me a lot of money for a while, was doing business hours on buildings and for businesses. If you have a vinyl cutter, I always suggest getting one that can do contour cutting. What does contour cutting mean, Luis? It means it has like a little laser on it that's able to read like an outline. I'm trying to keep it in layman's terms here. And then it'll cut around that outline pretty much. So any Cricut will pretty much do it. Like I believe the Explore Air 2 and up will do it. I believe any Silhouette will do it as well. But if you don't like the matte system with the Silhouette and the Cricut, I will have a vinyl cutter link below from Heat Press Nation that I like that does have contour cutting. Contour cutting is also good for if you use like that Pigment ink printer and you use like a Nina 3G opaque transfer sheet, and now you don't want to have the excess white on it, so then you just run it through there and it'll cut out the Nina 3G opaque as well for you. I know I get a lot of people asking about that. So you want to have a vinyl cutter that has contour cutting. Remember that. Even if you don't use my links, look that up. Contour cutting vinyl cutter. Obviously, you guys already knew this was coming. You're gonna need a heat press. Everybody needs a heat press. No matter what type of printing business you have, I feel that a heat press is fundamental. You need to have it. Start with a 15 by 15. They will be below. I get a lot of, don't buy cheap. You see a lot of these other YouTubers say, don't buy these cheap, heat presses. Don't buy cheap this, cheap that. Guys, the point is to get started. I have had a cheap heat press for pretty much the whole time I've been in business, and it's still going strong. I love it. I won't get rid of it. I've purchased others to do reviews, but I will not get rid of my original one. So you need a heat press, minimum 15 by 15. Don't get caught up on what it costs. If it's a cheap one, don't be afraid to jump into it. Just do it. Trust the process. In addition to a heat press, if you are going to be doing tumblers and like other smaller things, a lot of people go for a mug press. I personally don't really like those, so I opted to go with an oven instead and silicone wrapping this like a little clip thing. I'll link it below. You guys will be able to see it. Pretty much, it allows you to put the paper on your mugs, tumblers, cups, whatever it is, and then you put that silicone wrap around it, and then you just clamp it down, throw it in the oven. Do not use your cooking ovens. Buy a separate oven for this. I'll link it below as well. It's like an Oster, like that double door little toaster oven. There has to be a convection oven as well. But again, lucky for you, everything's below. And yeah, I feel that method works a little bit better. I like it. I like it much better than using the press method with like the mug press or the tumbler press. Now Cricut does make a very good press. I do like their mug press, but it's very pricey. That's totally up to you. And the last thing for a heat press, you definitely want that little tiny one that I always talk about, the Cricut Easy Press. It's like a little tiny iron, but man, that thing comes in clutch when you want to put opaque transfers or print media onto like hats, beanies, koozies, a lot of smaller stuff that is harder to use the big press for, or you just don't want to boot up that gigantic heat press. Or if you're doing, let's say, like a run of business shirts and you have a small logo on the front corner and you have a big logo on the back, if you have a partner that are helping you, one of y'all can be pressing the big ones with the back on the back with the big heat press, and the other one can be doing the small logo with the small little iron Easy Press from Cricut. Just some tips, guys, stuff how I've done in the past. It helps and it works. Okay, so I always talk about is you want a home for your business, guys. For something like this, you 100% need your own website. How you do that, that's totally up to you. I obviously suggest using something like Shopify for a print house type website. And the reason I say that is because they have plugins that you can buy. Now, they're not cheap, but you can buy them in order for people to be able to order print shop items. If you want to be kind of like a Vista print or a Got print or U printing type of company. That is for a little bit more advanced, starting off, obviously use your socials. Post every day. Post the process of you making this stuff. I promise you there's enough money to go around. Nobody's going to take your idea. Nothing you do is going to be new. It's very hard to think of something new. You know, if other people are watching you for advice, maybe just post the process and trust the process. It will get you views and in turn get your customers or your viewers to trust you. It'll build a bond between y'all and then they will order. I promise. So yeah, post on your socials as much as possible, guys. You know, TikTok, you can probably go viral with, you know, the process of printing. I've seen a lot of brands do it already. Instagram, obviously, for longevity. And then Facebook for your business page if you don't want to have a website. That's kind of like the minimum. Alrighty, guys, another thing we're going to go through is the type of computer that I feel you should have, and also the minimum software that you should be running on said computer for you to be able to, I feel, run a successful print business. So depending on what you're going to be doing day to day, I feel a lot of YouTubers or a lot of my colleagues push for you to have like Photoshop and the Adobe Creative Suite. And while I do agree, if you're a full-on graphic designer, you have to have those type of softwares. I don't think for you to be able to start off in the printing business or a print shop, you necessarily need those nowadays anymore. You can get away with using software, web-based softwares like Canva, and also alternative softwares like Affinity Photo, and I believe it's Affinity Designer, which kind of mimic Illustrator and Photoshop, which those will allow you to open AI files if a customer ever provides that. But also, if you were to purchase like a Cricut or a Silhouette, those vinyl cutters come with their own respective softwares that you can also use, design suites. So don't be too scared on what software. Just kind of dive into, you know, what you think would work for you. Again, Canva, I think, will work for almost anything that you're gonna be needing to do in the industry. And then if you have Affinity and the Affinity softwares to supplement, which is only a one-time payment, unlike Adobe's where it's a subscription, I think you will be fine. You will be fine. Now, that's not to say that I don't recommend the Adobe softwares, because that is what I use on my day-to-day. It's just they're not as user-friendly to get started with, and they are much more expensive. I pay, I believe, $70 a month for my subscription. So, but I know if you're a teacher or a student as well, you get like half off, or it's like $20 or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Okay, so that's that for software. We're going to go on to the computer side of this. So this is a question that gets asked a lot, because I get asked a lot, do I need a very specific type of laptop to do what you do, Luis? And while I have, not trying to, you know, brag or anything, but I do have high-end MacBooks, and I do have a gaming rig that's pretty up there. I will say you don't need the highest level of equipment to run something like this. The reason I have this stuff is because I have to edit video, and video does require a little bit of a higher caliber of machine. But if you're going to be using like web-based softwares, heck, you can do that off of a Chromebook. But I do suggest to have at least a Windows device that you can install some of these softwares to. Can you get away with using an iPad? Yes, you probably could. But I do suggest having a Windows machine. Let me iterate that again. A Windows machine that can get softwares installed. Photoshop doesn't require that much resources. Illustrator does require a little bit more. But I think you'll be fine with almost any entry-level laptops. I will put some in the description below that are sub $1,000 that I think will do wonders for some of you guys. But obviously, if it's not in your budget to purchase a new laptop, don't sweat it. Just start with what you have and just kind of work with it. I had a super slow computer when I started, and even though it sucked, you know, having the latency and the slowness of it, I made it work. You can make it work as well. And I will have some videos coming out with supporting softwares if you do have lower end hardware that'll help out with that. So, alright guys, the bonus tip of today's video is going to be start to do print brokering services. What is that? So pretty much what a print broker service is you're pretty much a middleman between your customers and a very, very large print shop, whether that's a print shop that does screen printing. They can do business cards, they can do brochures, posters, pop-up banners, whatever it is. That's what you pretty much are dealing with. And this comes very in handy because you are obviously working with restrained space. You know, your home obviously can't have these multi-million-dollar machines. So then you pretty much, you know, broker some of these bigger print houses and use their equipment, and they give you a set price on what you're purchasing for, and you resell it to your customer at a much higher margin. So it's a win-win for everybody. Almost every major website like Vista Print, Got Print, and U Printing, I believe all of them offer a print brokering service. Super easy to sign up for the most part. The only requirements they do ask for is for you to have a reseller's permit in your state or city. I don't know exactly how that works outside of Texas, but here all I had to do was get my EIN number and my reseller's certificate from the tax office. Didn't cost nothing, but I'd be like $25 to register the business, and then my EIN was free from the IRS, and that's all they ask for. And then you sign up, and then they pretty much open up that website with a whole different pricing for you as a broker. It's wonderful. Your customer never really knows that those items come from a bigger print shop because it is white labeled to your business, and while they don't put your logo on there, they just don't use any of their logos. And it looks like you're the one shipping out to your customer. That's the bonus tip for today. If you guys want to learn more about print brokering, though, I do want to make a full series on that, or it might be a course that I actually sell on starting that, just because that does involve more of an actual business-like structure. And but I think it's very beneficial as a at-home print business for you to have access to those big old machines. The last little tip I want to add here as a PS or whatever is, guys, don't be afraid to have multiple websites that you purchase print services from to resell. I'm talking about, it doesn't matter if it's even from eBay. I have found eBay sellers that sell cheaper than some of these big print houses where there's enough margin for me to resell to my customer. Again, just look at reviews from other purchasers, make sure they're legit sellers. But that's how I actually found all my banners.com, was through eBay, and then now I order directly through them. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate y'all being here today with me. And as always, please subscribe, hit the like button, help me out with the algorithm, and I will catch you in the next video.